Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and this is my anticipated films of the year. The reason I'm kind of keeping just a decently low volume right now because it's like 10 to 11 and it's going to be New Year's Day, but depending when this is uploaded, this will be 2022. But yeah, the rules are it must be released in the UK. Like I'm doing all UK release dates, and I'm not including films that are released in much of the world, or like music, like in film festivals, or just anywhere in the world. And finally, it's going to be mostly blockbusters, so don't expect like indie films or art house films. Even though I'm still going to watch them, but the mainstream studios seem to be the most organized with like release dates. But anyways, let's get going. Winter releases. For the 14th of January, there's Scream, which my film teacher did suggest, and it's also like a callback to like all the Scream movies that came before it. 14th January, this is Scream, which is might be curious. And on the 28th of January, there's Morbius, which takes place in the Venom universe of the Spider-Man films, but in the Venomverse. I wish Venom was more in the recent Spider-Man movie, but he was only in for like the last minutes of the film, last like post credits. I wonder what they're going to do Morbius and how's that going to tie in with like No Way Home, but yeah, it's going to be interesting nevertheless. And there's on the 4th of February there's Moonfall by Roland Emmerich, which I'm guessing it's going to be that Netflix film Don't Look Up but Dumb, which is kind of his shtick. Roland Emmerich, who did Independence Day, he did White House Down, he did Day After Tomorrow, and the pretty boring 2012. Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect of it, but yeah. And on the same day when it gets released, Jackass Forever. Johnny Knoxville, would you say, literally knocks himself out. It has Machine Gun Kelly in it, and it has Tyler the Creator in it as well. And of course, another movie where they kick back and physically destroy themselves. Not on the way they'll kill each other, but yeah. 11th of February, there's Death on the Nile, which is a sequel to Murder on Orient Express. I think this one got a titty bit of controversy, mainly because it's been delayed so many times, but also the inclusion of Gal Gadot, who, would you say, needs a new PR manager after her really bizarre Imagine video and defending the IDF actions during the Israel-Palestine conflicts of last year, when you probably see this video. So I'm not sure how the audience are going to like react to this. And one last film I like to check out for the winter releases, it's the Uncharted with Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, which is again based off the video games of Nathan Drake about a treasure hunter going to, of course, uncharted territory. Like apparently video game movies are getting a lot more better now without the dreaded name of Uwe Boll in the mix, but it should be interesting how they're going to do it this time around. Spring releases. On 4th of March, there's The Batman, this time with Robert Pattinson and directed by Matt Reeves. This one legitimately interests me because it's visually more of a neo-noir movie, and this one feels more like one of the films of David Fincher, particularly films like Seven, Fight Club, and Girl with Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, I think I really like how they went into that more neo-noir and more gothic approach. I think, yeah, he has his more own style. Like Tim Burton was gothic, and Joel Schumacher was just neon, and Christopher Nolan was realistic in America post September 11, and Zack Snyder just feels more like a video game the more I look back at it. But this one legit feels more like a neo-noir movie. Even like film places I follow on Twitter say they are legitimately excited for this. Like, so am I. For next week on the 11th of March, there's Turning Red, which is a new Pixar movie. Yeah, which is about a Chinese Canadian kid who gets, when she gets excited, she poofs up to a red panda. Yes, Pixar, well, they've gone to some stranger places before, but I'm certainly excited for this one. Mainly because what I'm excited the most, it has Billie Eilish and Phineas, her older brother, in the movie. Well, Billie Eilish just doing his songs, while Phineas has a voice role in it, and also has Sandra Oh, who, if I remember correctly, she was from Invincible, which is on Prime, which is something I want to check out. And it takes place in, of course, Toronto, Canada, like in the early 2000s, which seems to interested me because that's basically my childhood. Except I've never been to Canada before, but I've lived in Britain. So early 2000s, that's when I was a kid. Like it's kind of really nostalgic for me. Like I think this is at that point where it's just considered history and it's just my nostalgia. And on the 1st of April, there's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Of course, with Idris Elba as Knuckles. I remember the absolute anarchy that the first trailer of the first movie came off, which had Sonic who looks more like my sleep paralysis demon. Again, they're going to stick with the more suited designs, especially with Tails and Knuckles, with Tails being voiced by the original voice actress from the video games, which is brilliant, and also Jim Carrey is in it still, like, I feel good now. And there's Bad Guys, which is a DreamWorks animation film where all the famous bad guys become good. I don't know, I've seen the trailer for it. And here comes the pretty controversial one. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Again, I wanted to do this video like 2 months ago or a month ago when the trailer came out saying that I don't want to watch the movie. Like, I'm not sure what benefit would be for me to review the movie because there was like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard controversy, like it's a he said she said thing going on, like some abuse in that relationship. But I think the one thing that really soured the milk for me is just J.K. Rowling's just transphobia rants on Twitter. Even going far to say like recently that trans people are rapists. Like, dude, like stop. Like she's now becoming one of the greatest writers of all time to being the Eric Clapton of literature. Like, the racist aunt that you just tune yourself out every time she said, oh, nah, 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 nah. Like, she just rambles on now. Like, I think I just personally don't want to watch it. It's not just to my sake, just to everyone else's. Like, who is this dumb enough to watch new material from Harry Potter now? Particularly of JK's controversies and the Johnny Depp controversy as well. But at least they replaced him with Mad Mikkelsen, which didn't seem to do much to favour a lot of people, but I'm personally not gonna watch it, to be honest. Unless if it's like Ghostbusters, the 2016 one, where it just gets more and more hate, then I might be tempted to. On the 22nd of April, there's the trailer that literally came out of nowhere. It's The Northman by Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch and The Lighthouse. Like, I was like legit blown away by the trailer. It has Alexander Skarsgård in it, and it has Willem Dafoe, it has Ethan Hawke, and even has Bjork in it in her first acting appearance for like 20 years after Dancer in the Dark. Like, it kind of reminds me a bit of Green Knight, and it also reminds me a lot of The Revenant. Like, I'm legit buying a ticket for it, no hesitation. I'm going to make a review out of it. And for the 6th of May, our first MCU movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like, I saw the trailer when it came out, when No Way Home came out, like, and it came out on YouTube like something like 2 weeks later or something. But I think this time it's going to be one of the more legit horror movies MCU did, because it has Sam Raimi in it. Like, why? Sam Raimi did the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, like, of course, but he directed the Evil Dead movies. Like, I have a poster up there of the remake. Yeah. And like, what about Scott Dickinson of the original Doctor Strange? Like, he directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose and Sinister. Like, there's got a little bit of thing going on where it's like pristine horror directors are going to direct a Doctor Strange movie, like Doctor Strange 3. I wouldn't expect, I don't know, Jordan Peele, James Wan to direct it, but yeah. And also, I think Scott Dickinson turned this film, left the film so he can make Black Phone, which comes out next year roughly, but I wouldn't exactly know. And for the and also there's DC League of Super Pets, which is basically the DC heroes Batman and Superman, Wonder Woman, but their pets saving the world. I'm a cat person, so whatever. And for the final film of spring, there's Top Gun Maverick, another film which was hit with delays. Oh, the first firework. And particularly with Tom Cruise and Miles Teller, who's gotten, the latter star, gotten some controversy over not being vaccinated for one of the film sets he was in and getting COVID. So there's some controversy there, but not as enormous or like a massive elephant in the room like Fantastic Beasts, but I might help myself down to watch it. Summer releases coming this summer, firework noise. On 10th of June, there's Jurassic World Dominion. If you remember from the previous film, Fallen Kingdom, all the dinosaurs get unleashed into the wild, as in onto civilization. And of course, it leads to Owen, played by Chris Pratt, to track them all down. I think, just watching from the extended previews and the plot synopsis. So, I'm very keen on this as well, but what I don't get at all is just the hate that Chris Pratt's been getting for like the past couple of years. Like, okay, he may be politically on the right wing, okay, he may be Christian, but please, like, dude, he is a very likable person. Like, hey, he did make some great performances. Like, he was great in Community. I liked him in Guardians of the Galaxy. Heck, he even appeared in serious Oscar bait movies like Zero Dark 30, which got like a 95 on Metacritic. Like, if you get him on good day, he can do something really great. Like, please don't hate on Chris Pratt. Please, just do us a favor. Like, at the end of the day, I am pretty keen to see what's in the world of Jurassic World, like what they're up to, given that it's 4 years after the most recent installment. On the 17th of June, there's Lightyear, which is a spin-off of Toy Stories. Like, this one kind of baffled me a bit. Like, have we got a backstory of like Buzz Lightyear already? Like, there was this direct-to-video movie that came out somewhere in the early 2000s, where it's basically Buzz Lightyear and some other friends who I forgot their names of try to save the Unimind, which pretty much is a mind link between all the green aliens. Like, yeah, please, I'm not making this up. I think it's on Disney Plus, but I have no idea. But I remember watching it as a kid. Like I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a prequel like that, or it's just resetting the entire lore of Toy Story or something. But I'm not sure what direction they're going to take it. But they have like Chris Evans taking over from Tim Allen. Like, people are like, oh, you can't replace him, he's a conservative, blah, 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 blah. Like, it was one of those ridiculous conspiracy theories that all conservative leaning actors were being axed off. Like, that's just kind of ridiculous. Like, what about Adam Sandler? He's a Republican. Yeah, I think it's going to be on it's definitely going to be a completely different person, but inherits the same name, Buzz Lightyear. Again, could be prequel or a sequel to Toy Story lore, but I would not have any idea. On the 24th of June, there's the Elvis Presley project. Like, if you remember, like, literally at the beginning of the lockdown, like, Tom Hanks got COVID while filming in Australia, filming this very project. And also, this is going to be, like, Baz Luhrmann's first film for 9 years, if I'm remembering correctly, after Great Gatsby. He did direct Moulin Rouge and Romeo plus Juliet, which is, latter's been one of my favourite films. Again, I'm very curious how he's going to take on the lore of Elvis. Like, I remember going on holiday in Scotland. There was the nearest airport, allegedly where he stayed in the UK the only ever time. It was only for a layover for a trip to Europe during his military time. Again, I don't know like a great deal amount of Elvis, since I'm not his biggest fan, and I'm not too familiar with like 50s, 60s music, even though I have definitely heard a lot of his songs, but I'm not the biggest fan of Elvis. For 1st of July, there's Dominion's Rise of Gru. This one weirdly concerns me because I wasn't really that much of a fan of the previous movie, Despicable Me 3, which I kind of feel like is the driest film. Not the worst, but it just leaves a bit of the driest aftertaste. And given the fact it was released back in 2017, if I can remember top of my head, which means it's been 5 years since between films, which is the longest without a Despicable Me or a Minions movie. Like, something must have gone wrong. Of course, there was delays. Like, it was originally going to be released in 2020, got delayed continuously till 2021, till 2022, due to COVID and presumably some redos, I guess. Like, none of them could have been delayed that much, to be honest. Yes, I think something must have gone wrong. I'm not sure if the movie's going to be actually great, but who knows. On the 8th of July, there's Thor Love and Thunder by Taika Waititi with Chris Hemsworth in it. And it's also a crossover movie-ish in the same vein as Civil War. It's going to have the Guardians of the Galaxies for sure, since Chris Pratt has taken photos of him on set in Australia. And what again interests me about this is it has Christian Bale as a character called the God Butcher, which is a person who probably kills God, which is a bit ominous, but we'll see how Thor goes in on this. And on the 29th of July, there's Black Adam, which is one of the villains from the Shazam lore. This time has Dwayne Johnson in it, which interests me, and it also has a pretty brilliant trailer as well, which is pretty cool. So, summer-wise, some interesting hits, but some that are pretty controversial for me. Autumn releases. For the autumn releases, on the 21st September, there's Don't Worry Darling, which is by Olivia Wilde. If I can remember correctly, she directed Booksmart all these years back. This time it takes place in the 50s, and I'm not entirely sure that much. It has Florence Pugh in it, it has Harry Styles in it, it has Olivia Wilde, of course, and it has Chris Pine as well, which is very interesting. What was interesting about is during the filming of this production, I think it was like Harry Styles' role was originally going to be played by Shia LaBeouf, but of course, given that was 2021, Shia LaBeouf was pretty much hit out after domestic abuse allegations came out about him, so he left the project. Presumably, just not to cast a bad image on it, but he was replaced by Harry Styles, who was in Dunkirk, who was in Internals. He could be literally on the road to something as the one person from One Direction, or the one person I can name from One Direction. Again, he could be a really great actor. Like, we'll see what he does. For the 30th of September, there's Mission Impossible 7, which looks legitimately interesting, since there was like leak footage of Tom Cruise literally driving off a cliff, like on a motorbike, with a ramp, and definitely, I'm guessing, with some safety harness and some cables to hold them together. Which, again, it's basically Tom Cruise saving the world and doing pretty dangerous stunts, which is what I signed up for, and this is what I'm going to get. For 7th of October, there's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Part 1. Yeah, it surprised everyone that it's going to be a two-parter, this movie, unless if it's like in the case of Kill Bill, where they've made so much material that it has to be done in like 2 movies, or if it's like Lord of the Rings, where it's kind of intentional, but we didn't quite break the news that well. But this time it has Oscar Isaac, and also has Miles Morales diving into the multiverse like he did back into the Spider-Verse like 4 years ago now when you watch this video. Which is again going to be legitimately interesting because over time, Into the Spider-Verse has been considered not just one of the best animated films of the decade, but one of the best of all time. Even my mom likes it as well. And there's 14th of October, Halloween Ends, which is the end of the trilogy, or the end of the modern trilogy of the Halloween movies. There's what really surprises me, unless if this is kind of false or something, It's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which of course is Puss. I'm guessing it's Puss in Boots from the Shrek franchise. Like, this series had not had a film installment for 11 years. Like, just think about it. Like, a sequel kind of out of nowhere, and Puss in Boots. Unless if it's gonna be more sequels on the horizon or something like that. With particularly with Mike Myers, who hasn't been seen for like years, and there's Eddie Murphy, who's making a bit of a comeback with Coming to America, and My Name is Dolomite, and Cameron Diaz has retired for like years ago now. Like, I'm not sure if it's going to lead to like a reboot or something, or new movies from Shrek with the same cast or something, but I'm really interested in the future post Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. The 4th of November, Flash, which has Michael Keaton in it from the Tim Burton Batman movies, which again legitimately intrigues me because it takes place presumably in the late 80s and early 90s, like the film series did, unless the Flash is going to do some time traveling from that time, or dimension crossing, or cross universe crossing. Again, whatever's out there, I'm interested. And on the same day, on 4th of November, there's David O. Russell's Untitled Movie. Again, this is one of the most... David O. Russell is one of the most interesting directors out there. Outside of having full-on tantrums in I Love the Huckabees and Three Kings, he has directed some pretty acclaimed stuff like Silver Lining Playbook, and as well as American Hustle and Joy. But unfortunately, there was a massive fallout. That was the Nailed comedy, which was the movie that was infamously unfinished, definitely, of course. And there was his allegations that he was basically a bit of an asshole on set. So I wonder if this is going to be like his redemption piece or his comeback piece, considering he has been quiet for like some time now, like, or something. He also directed the Fighter as well. Like, whatever David Russell has on his agenda this time, it's going to be legitimately interesting. The next week, on the 11th of November, there's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Again, this is going to be a bit of a controversial one because Chadwick Boseman had passed away, unfortunately, in 2020 from colon cancer, and make things a little bit awkward because it's going to focus on the side characters from the looks of it, and makes things a little bit weird for some unknown reason that there's some fan groups that want to recast him. Like, I personally believe Chadwick Boseman was brilliant in this role. Like, who else could play him? Like, of course. It is a little bit weird. I don't want to touch on it a lot because given how pretty venomous the MCU franchise has got, particularly with the feud with Martin Scorsese, so I don't want to dive into it. I just want to see what Black Panther has prospered to post the Boseman's passing. And also there's one of the actresses who turned out to be a complete anti-vaxxer, so this is kind of an awkward dinner with your date. So we'll watch to see how the world of Wakanda evolved post-Endgame. 12th of November, which is an interesting one because it's Steven Spielberg's The Feeble Man, which is about a semi-autobiography of his upbringing in Arizona. Which has Seth Rogen, and it has Michelle Williams in it as well, and I think Paul Dano, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it looks like it is interesting considering it's about his life story. Presumably he written it this time, and he's directed it fresh off the critical success but pretty abysmal box office West Side Story, which again I really liked, but I just hope his audience does return for The Feebles Man. There's 25th of November, Creed 3, which, if I remember correctly, it's directed by Michael B. Jordan, but correct me if I'm wrong. 2nd of December, Matilda, like the Matilda remake, presumably. Why? Margaret Wilson is brilliant. I like Danny DeVito in it as well. Like, why do it? 16th of December, Aquaman Lost Kingdom, which is again going to be pretty awkward, considering the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation being a he said she said scenario. So again, this is going to make some really uncomfortable conversations on Twitter. And finally, the final film is Avatar 2. The first Avatar movie just blew my head off. Like, it pretty much became one of my favourite films growing up as a kid. And so much so that I even said it wasn't one of my favourite films again growing up as a kid. Even though people kind of threw crap on the movie, like, ooh, it's not relevant, ooh, quote one movie, ooh, no one remembers it, yeah. But there was this meme of one of the aliens, like, falling off the airship, like, as a meme of some sort. Like, it's still there, and also, it did regain being the highest grossing movie of all time after a re-release in China. Which, again, was super interesting. Like, yes, there is still an audience out there. And considering this is the first film from James Cameron for now like 13 years, to give you an idea, D'Angelo's Black Messiah took 14 years to put together, so yeah, this is going to be either brilliant, but knowing Disney's really hit or miss track record with like Star Wars and Marvel, like which one's going to get the better critical treatment and fan service, I'm kind of holding on tight, because if it's going to be like Marvel, then I'm going to warmly like it. If it's going to be, if it's going to be like Marvel, if it's going to be like Star Wars, then it's going to really ruffle a lot of feathers and rub a lot of people the wrong way. Like, I'm super curious how Disney's going to do this, so fingers crossed. And this is Elijah Wells. Like this video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. What films are you looking forward for in 2022? And this is Elijah Wells, and bye.